the dark evening stars and the morning sky of blue, my friends, wherever you are. And I sent it in my letter to you. You're the reason we're here. I sent it in my letter to you.
We are doing great, Thom. Thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem.
I watched A Letter to You yesterday. What a great way to spend a Sunday afternoon. I mean, it was just, it was so relaxing and so informative and just, it was so intimate. That's what I loved about it. And
thank you.
Tell me about choosing black and white and monochrome for the film. It looks like a living Ansel Adams photograph. It really does.
Well, thank you. I went to the Bruce's house in New Jersey one day, and he talked to me about the project, and that was the first time I thought about the idea of using black and white. It was a gray Saturday, and he was talking to me that he was going to get the band back together. And he was sitting there, we were sitting out by a fire, and I just remember that moment, and I was thinking, this feels like black and white. The day was so muted. And I followed that, and that gut reaction, and I also went to visit the studio and took some stills and saw that the light was beautiful and filled that space in a great way and made those stills black and white. And I knew I had a visual tone that fortunately worked with the theme of aging and reflection and the music itself. So that's how I came about.
And would you call this a concert film? I would.
Well, I think the film has an energy of the E Street Band, and that reminds me of the E Street Band in concert. So to see them perform live is an exciting thing in the studio. And I wanted this film to really capture every moment. So I was really blessed with trust from Bruce to take my 3 cameramen and spend the week, keep out of the way, but spend the week capturing all this new music. So
how did you stay out of his way? I mean, just because you had so many different shots and so many different angles, I kept thinking there must be 10 people in there and 15 cameras.
Well, we only had 3 cameras, but I covered every second. And with that comes the beauty of editing, and it gives you just different points of view. And my number one job was to capture everything, but also to not impede with the process of making the record. And having worked with Bruce for 20 years, after a while, people got used to me a little bit. So that helps too.
Well, capturing the band live, I mean, everything that you did for Letter to You was live. What were the technical challenges of capturing all of that music and all the instruments?
The technical challenges were to look for those really small moments that were instrumental moments that I wanted to make sure I had footage of Roy playing the glockenspiel, these little tiny little riffs that are classic E Street. So every time I did a take, I had a review in my mind's eye. What did I not capture? Was there a riff? Was there a fill that's really important? So if they did a second take, I would make sure to have a cameraman reposition and find that shot. And the beauty of the E Street Band is that you've got to keep up with them. There's an energy in that room when they're creating, and this thing moves like a freight train. And I just was really grateful to be there and to have their trust.
And you gave each member of the band their moment, which I love too. It just wasn't all Bruce. It was like you just gave everybody a time in this documentary. And but you also connected different takes, didn't you? It was a very smooth transition. It wasn't just because I'm thinking like, gosh, he got that in one take, but no, you kind of did the best stuff, huh?
Well, the music, Bruce would work with the music and pick out the best take because everyone was playing live. But the filmmaking side of me, if there was an example in take 2 that I had max, I would work my best to sync it up to give us that seamless feel of the performance. But I also, because there was no overdubs, if I didn't have a section, I was able to go to a band member or a engineer or a moment that just took you inside the room. So I wanted it to go way beyond the language of just the music video or, you know, the behind the scenes. I wanted to try to get across how it feels to be in that room. And in that room, there's times where someone's just working. So that's why I showed some of the engineers, or that's why I show Bruce's cousin Frank, or John Landau, Bruce's manager. There's a real environment and there that's a creative environment, but it's happening all in this moment. And I was just really wanted cameras going at all times.
And while capturing the music was just spectacular, but also his narration, Springsteen's memoir, in his own words, he says he needs to talk to us. And I just felt that so intimate that it really is a love letter to his fans. I mean, to open up about his early days, about getting his first guitar from Sears and Roebuck. I mean, things that I never knew about the boss.
Well, the beauty of Bruce's voiceover and narration as a filmmaker is that it brings you into this space, very much like the book did in the Broadway show, where he's having this conversation with you, the fan. And I always try to find images that work alongside the emotional feelings that the voiceover is conveying, and really play around with the landscapes on this film to convey the spirituality that I feel is throughout the music, throughout the sonic landscape, but also the writing of Bruce in both lyrics and narration. So I'm living in this world where Bruce is talking to the fans, and I just want to carry the story forward. I don't want to get in the way. And at the same time, Bruce's writing is so powerful that it's an intense experience to figure out what visuals to put next to it.
And I guess my favorite song is Letter to You. I mean, I think that's my favorite moment. But as the director, did you have a favorite moment while you were in post-production? What was your moment for the film?
When I'm editing a film, I always fall in love with different tracks at different times. And my favorite sequence for a long time was See You in My Dreams, because it has this magical moment where John Landau's listening, Bruce's manager of many years and a friendship they've had for 40 plus years. And he's listening to playback, and he has an emotional expression in there that just is very powerful. And that to me was one of my favorite tracks, and also one of my favorite moments, because it demonstrated for me the bond that these two creative people have, but also it was a great way to share the influence that they both had in my life as a filmmaker.
And finally today, Thom, working with Apple TV Plus. I mean, this is an exclusive, and how's that relationship been?
It's been fantastic to work with Apple. I am an artist who uses all Apple, so I've been there since the very beginning days. Yeah, and there's nothing more exciting as a filmmaker than to see this poster and this announcement with Apple. It's a great honor, and they've been just amazing and so excited and supportive of the whole film. So I'm thrilled, and I just hope I get a chance to work with them again, because it's been really fabulous.
Well, Thom, congratulations on a wonderful documentary on an American legend. I remember being in high school hearing, Born in the USA. So if he's in his 70s, what does that make me, right? I was just like, oh my gosh, so this, like I said, this was a wonderful Sunday afternoon for me, very spiritual, and well done. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you.